Hi, my name is Ashley Warren. I attend Houston Baptist University. This material is for Counseling 6323 Dr. Benjamin Andrews, and today is June 9th, 2023. The purpose of this assignment is to reflect on the needs and challenges of disaster workers, and I'm going to be referring to the needs and challenges of disaster video pertaining to Module 6, and let's get started. So the first question pertaining to the needs and challenges of disaster video is, what are the needs and challenges of the heroic phase? So firstly, let's look into what is the heroic phase. And so during the heroic phase, um, let's see, the heroic phase is a phase that occurs after a disaster. It's what happens. It's the aftermath of what happens after a disaster, or a traumatic event or crisis. And in this event, it is characterized by a surge of energy, resilience, and determination. And during this phase, individuals exhibit certain needs and face specific challenges as they navigate through initial response to the crisis. And so, during this phase, as mentioned in the video, um, victims of disasters can deny the impact of the disaster, um, that deny the impact that the disaster is having on them or their lives or on their homes. The video spoke about Hurricane Katrina and how it affected the peoples of the community, and how the crisis um, actually ended up bringing people together. Um, but back to the survivors, uh, may be in denial about what is going on, their emotions, about what has happened to them, and the impact that it might have on them and their families. And they may begin to stockpile community assets because of the denial. And it's okay for them to be in denial. That's normal. And so the needs of the heroic phase, uh, for one, it will be safety and security. And that's because individuals, the victims in this phase, in the heroic phase, have a fundamental need for safety and security. Um, and this is their physical safety, as well as their emotional safety and their psychological and mental stability. They may seek shelter or access to resources and assurance that further harm or danger is minimized. Um, for two, I would say the basic necessities. And the basic necessities would just be meeting their basic needs, such as Maslow's hierarchy explained. And their basic needs will be things such as food, water, clothing, and shelter. And these things become a priority in the heroic phase. Individuals require access to essential resources to sustain themselves and their families at this time. People have been misplaced or displaced. They could be in unfamiliar places, such as shelters or um, in other people's homes, or places that they're not usually used to. And in this phase, they have lost everything, and they just want the basic necessities. They need the basic necessities at this point. Thirdly, I would say support and connection, such as social support and help from the community, and just knowing that the community cares and that the community is there for them. They need that support in the heroic phase. It's crucial. Victims may seek support from family members or friends or neighbors of the community. Also, community organizations can help them cope with the crisis, such as counselors, just like the lady that we saw in the video. She uh, uh, um, uh, opened up a mental organization, and she set up shop, and hundreds of people came in, and they offered mental health services to help to help support the victims emotionally, and help comfort them and give them assistance, and just give them a sense of belonging, to know that they are someone and that they are cared about. What else do they need? They need information and communication. The individuals or the victims need accurate and timely information about the crisis and its impact and the available resources. There will be lots of people who need lots of resources. And financial resources, and these people have lost everything, from their homes to their belongings. They lost family members, they lost friends, and not only did some of these people pass away, but they were misplaced, which means that they were sent here and there. They were put on buses and shipped off to different cities and different states. And at this point, people just need to be able to communicate and have information about the resources and about their family members, and uh, just having that support system um, available to them. They need to be able to uh, be informed about what's going on, what's going to happen. They need to be able to make informed decisions, and to, like I said, maintain contact with their loved ones. Communication at this point is so serious, and also having the correct information and resources. They need that. They need they just need to be able to be comfortable, even though they will be very uncomfortable. They just need caring people, and they need the mental health workers that's crisis and trauma based on the front line to help them in that. The challenges they face are emotional distress, overwhelming demands, such as some significant demands physically and emotionally. They may have to deal with tasks such as emergency response, crisis management, caring for others, navigating unfamiliar situations. And the responsibilities and decision making can be very overwhelming. There will be intense emotions and fear and anxiety, sadness and anger and grief. And the crisis situation often involves a high degree of uncertainty, and these individuals may face challenges with limited information and changing circumstances and unforeseen obstacles, and they have to be resilient, and we have to help them be resilient in this phase. Just recognize the needs and the challenges in the heroic phase is essential for providing the appropriate support during crisis. And this is because the client has a client shock, which is a high state of arousal. The mental health counselor may encourage the client to pace him or herself in reporting to the disaster that present themselves, rather than having fever pitch response in all situations. The counselor will educate the victim on how their reactions to the disaster will generally change over time. And this is normal, and let them know that this is a normal process and it doesn't have to be negative. And that is a quote from the Miller book. Okay. Okay, the honeymoon phase. In this stage, compassion and relief are expressed to the ones that have been impacted. That's also a quote from Miller. The honeymoon phase basically implies to a period of being calm and stable. Individuals in the honeymoon phase may experience a temporary sense of relief, a pause in the intensity of the crisis, or a sense of accomplishment for overcoming initial challenges. It may involve formation of social connections and a sense of community support. During this phase, individuals may begin to process the emotional impact of the crisis or trauma, and they may start to plan for long-term recovery and rebuilding. Um, the heroic and the honeymoon phase are closely related. In the aftermath crisis, but the heroic phase refers to the initial surge of energy and resilience, while the honeymoon phase can be seen as a subset of the heroic phase, characterized by a temporary sense of relief and stability. And the crash point refers to people getting tired and burnt out, not having self care. Like she stated in the video, the people have been going and helping one another and working day and night, and they had physical ailments. And like she said, one worker actually thought that he was experiencing a heart attack. And it is the question asked: describe who, when, and why this may occur. The crash point occurs to people who are working hard and overworking themselves, and they are processing lots of emotions, and it becomes overwhelming, and they're exhausted, and they have increased vulnerability. And who I'm sorry, when does this happen? This happens when people don't take time out to take a break, when they're overwhelmed, and when they don't have the proper self-care. And why this may occur, it occurs because people wants to help, people want to step in during a crisis, and they may put others' needs before their needs, and they just want to be there and be the people in the community to help one another and to get through this crisis. The last question: during the disillusionment phase, fear, anger, hopelessness can set in. What types of clinical conditions may develop from these circumstances, and what type of treatment is best to overcome them? So, some common conditions that could arise from um, the disillusionment phase is depression, anxiety disorders, adjustment disorders, substance abuse, um, and you get depressed, knowing that you have lost everything. You start feeling hopeless and sadness and in despair, and you don't have the proper sleep patterns, and you don't have a high quality of energy. Anxiety, you're worrying about what's going to happen. You might have panic attacks and flashbacks. You have to get adjusted to your losses and your changes and your new life, and your reality, your mood and your behavior, your social functioning, are all things that you have to adjust to and try to keep at a normal pattern. Some people start with substance abuse, like the guy in the video. He didn't have anything to offer his family. His wife left him, and he got depressed because he had to push those bodies down the Missouri River, and but he ended up being restored at the end. And the appropriate treatment for these conditions could be psychotherapy or medications, support groups, self-care, stress management, or holistic approaches, which are natural things. And remember that it's important, and that treatment should be tailored to the specific needs of each individual. They could have depression, they could have PTSD, they're gonna have PTSD, and so in that phase, those are the types of treatments that could best help them overcome what they went through. Thank you. that's the end of that. The references that I used were the Miller book, the book of the course. Thank you. I'm Ashley Warren. Thank you for this opportunity.